Hi everybody, I am Meg from megfort.com. I'm gonna start doing nursing videos on my YouTube channel. This is the first one. In these videos, I'm gonna get real basic with terminology because I want nursing students to watch these videos as well, and I want them to understand. And I'm basing it off of one of my most popular posts. It was how to be confident in a code. A little bit of background about myself. I became a nurse 10 years ago. I have worked everywhere, nursing homes, rehab centers, the ER, med-surg, telefloors, a lot of telemetry units, step-down cardiovascular, post-open heart, all sorts of things. All right, so tips on how to be confident in a code. First of all, know your codes. Everybody's got a badge. Everybody has one of these little cheat sheets. Tells you what the code means. The most common codes you're probably going to be calling is like a rapid response, which is the patient's deteriorating, something's going wrong, super low blood pressure, super low sugar, they just passed out, but they still have a heartbeat and they are still breathing. You need help in the room. You call a rapid response or code rapid or whatever your hospital calls it. The other most common code, especially if you're working ICU or with really critical patients and step down, you're going to call a code blue. This is the one that everybody kind of freaks out on. There's certain things that intimidates you in nursing, especially in nursing school, and it's like your brain shuts off and you don't want to address it. But you are so powerful. Do not run away. Turn your brain back on. You can do this. Code blue, very simply, is your patient is not breathing, has no pulse. You need to revive them, or at least try to revive them. Bring them back to life. So know how to call a code blue. Some facilities, you actually have to call an operator and say code blue to room 3110. Simple as that. That's all you got to do really quickly, and then start compressions immediately. Some facilities have a button on the wall, which is super handy. Hopefully everybody has this, where you just hit the code button on the wall and you can start compressions. You don't have to pick up your phone. You can automatically just hit the wall and start compressions. Very important tip on you walk in on your patient not breathing, no pulse. Don't spend more than like 8 to 10 seconds looking for a pulse. Always go for the carotid. If you feel a pulse, all right, they're still alive. If there's no pulse after 8 to 10 seconds, don't waste time. Don't go to the other side. Don't wait and feel for longer. Just start the code. If you think you're gonna forget, or you're the type of person that kind of fumbles when they're nervous, I suggest you take a Sharpie and circle what the extension is that you have to call. If you have to call the code, for example, in the last hospital that I worked at, it was pound 777 on the phone to call the codes. All right, if it is not your patient and there is a code called, do not run and hide. You are awesome. You have a nursing license. You can do this. Run into the code. If no one is wheeling in the code cart, go get it. You be the one. Unplug it and wheel it right in. Now, I want to really quickly go over the things that have to happen in the first 3 to 5 minutes of a code. This is very simple. You can write these down, or you can click below in the description for the blog post and you can print it out. These are the following things that need to happen right away in the first 3 minutes of a code. They can all happen simultaneously. Number 1, initiate compressions. Obviously, initiate compressions as soon as you realize that this person has no pulse. Always double check the code status. The chart should be nearby, or there should be a computer. You can pull up their information right away. Check the code status, because sometimes people don't want to come back. Next, someone needs to bring the code cart into the room with the life pack. Hook them up to the life pack. Someone needs to take the role of recorder or scribe and start filling out those code blue sheets or rapid response sheets. Put the patient on the life pack on the monitor so you can see their rhythm if they're not already on a monitor. If the patient is super tachycardic, super Brady or in VFib or something, put those defibrillator pads on right away. Respiratory, put the patient on oxygen, venti mask, whatever they need. Also set up suction, because if the patient needs to be intubated or they need further respiratory intervention, you need that suction set up. If they are not breathing, set up that ambu bag and start bagging. If you don't know how to set up the ambu bag, usually there's a little picture on the bag. It's really simple, but if you haven't done it before, you can kind of fumble around and waste a few seconds. Little tip, after the code is done, look at the ambu bag and kind of study it so you can understand how to do it the next time. Take it apart, put it together so you know how to do it. Next, immediately get a set of vitals, blood pressure, respiratory rate, pulse, O2 sat. Make sure you get all of that. And for insurance purposes and recording purposes, get a temperature and get a blood sugar. Immediately, simultaneously, another nurse should be checking the central lines or the IV lines, making sure that they're patent and that they're working. If not, they got to start another one right away. This is also the nurse who will usually be giving the meds. They already know the lines, they already know the access. They can just be right there and you can hand them the meds, or someone from the standing at the code cart can hand them the med. Also, simultaneously, another nurse should be assigned to open up one of the wows or cows or computers, whatever you guys call them there at that hospital, to get the patient's chart open so they can start looking up the labs of the day, what they've already had done, what the doctor said last, if the doctors visited them that day, all of that kind of info. Also, delegate for a nurse or secretary or tech to call the attending physician, call the appropriate people, and let them know what's going on. Two things that are very important. It is super helpful when the nurse of the patient assigns all of the roles. You get the chart, you record, you do meds, you do respiratory, that kind of thing. It really it sets a beautiful foundation of the code if the nurse goes and assigns all the roles. Sometimes you already have code teams and those roles assigned. Sometimes people are busy and they can't make it to the code, they're off the floor, they're doing something with their patient, they didn't hear the code, whatever it is. It really helps whoever's running into the room to help you. You do this, assign your roles. Number two, stay in your roles. If you are the recorder, you should not put the paper down to go push the meds or get in line to do the compressions. Whatever your role is, stay in that role for the entire duration of the code. Okay, so a little bit about assigning the roles. In all reality, I believe that there are 8 different roles that you can assign really quick. It also helps to kind of write it on your badge if you need help to do that. Number 1, compressions. You're probably the one doing compressions when everybody runs into the room. So assign 2-3 people, depending on how much staff you have, you're doing compressions. You guys rotate compressions. Number 2, somebody has to check the IV access or central line access, and they will do the medications. Number 3, someone to deal with respiratory stuff, setting up the oxygen, setting up the suction, non-rebreather mask, whatever it is. Number 3, someone to kind of man the LifePak monitor, to hook it up, to stand there to pace, defibrillate, whatever needs to happen. They are the LifePak person. Number 5, somebody to get the vitals initially and to keep getting the vitals. Let's say this person is super hypotensive and you're probably going to be checking the blood pressure super often after you bolus them and things like that. If they're not already on the monitor, you may have a policy that it needs to be done manually, whatever it is. That person needs to be doing the vitals, and they stay doing the vitals throughout the entire code. This doesn't necessarily have to be a nurse. You can always take advantage of the techs. Your tech is your best friend. Don't abuse your techs. Maintain that rapport with your techs. Your tech is your third arm. Your tech is so invaluable. Please be kind to your techs. And your techs can do compressions. Your techs can be your runner. Your techs can be the person who does the vitals, the blood sugar, whatever it is. Utilize your techs, but be nice to them. Number 6, somebody to man the computer and to look through the patient's chart. Number 7 would be family, someone to call the family. This can be a secretary, and just say, the nurse wants to speak with you, the doctor wants to speak with you, the charge nurse wants to speak to you about the status of your mom, your brother, whoever it is. This person can also be the family person who maybe stands outside with the family and maybe explains to them what is happening, what is not happening, kind of comforts them. If you've ever had a family member go south in the hospital, it's very scary and confusing, and you want to be updated and you want to be comforted. So there should be preferably a nurse to sit or stand to the side with the family, kind of keep them out of the way, but also keep them informed. Look, here they're checking the blood pressure, the doctor has arrived, we will do the best we can. Never tell them that it'll be all right. Life sometimes is not all right, but you can assure them, we're going to do the best we can. We're doing the best we can. Number 8, which is a role that a lot of people forget, you need a runner. Not everything you need is in the patient's room. Sometimes the supply room is down a hall. Sometimes your med room is way far away and your pharmacist doesn't have what you need in the code cart or in their little box. So you need a runner. Sometimes it's good to have a nurse and a tech in this role. Like, hey, we need more oxygen tubing, or this isn't the right mask, or we need Lasix right away, or whatever it is. You can have somebody who can leave the code and run back and forth and not come out of a role. I feel very strongly about empowering other nurses, especially the new grads. I think that this is a very stressful profession. It's only getting more stressful with healthcare laws and the new computer systems. So I think to survive, we cannot be catty. We cannot judge each other. We are all human, but we're also superhuman because we're nurses, and we can't survive this profession without empowering and supporting each other. So that is why I'm making this video, because I want to support you. Please subscribe to my channel for more nursing content, and I'm going to put links below to my nursing blog where you can read all sorts of resources.